Alright guys, welcome back to Valorant News. A massive couple of matchups yesterday in the North American Valorant side, with Sentinels getting embarrassed by Evil Geniuses in a quick 2-0 defeat, now leaving themselves 2 in 5. Their playoff chances are getting slimmer and slimmer by the day, and if this continues, what needs to happen to this Sentinels roster? It's clearly not working. What is the problem? Certainly wasn't TenZ. What's the actual solution now? Because Marv's bringing him in hasn't worked out in the medium term. What's going on with Sentinels? What's going to happen in the future with this roster? Very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to dive into. First of all, just wanted to quickly mention this from Shroud, because the premier matches have been going on and all this type of stuff, and Shroud's been playing it lately and got this ridiculous 1 versus 5. And I'll share Tarek's reaction to this. In fairness, the team that loses this absolutely deserves to lose it, because the fact that he's able to get all 5 and defuse this has got to be one of the worst plays I've ever seen from a site from a team trying to defend a site. Like, all they've got to do is just play some angles, but no, they decide to go here for the Charles, and, backfires on them spectacularly, it's got to be said. And obviously Shroud does a good clip as well, slightly later on from that. So yeah, obviously Shroud still got it, and look, Shroud was on Sentinels for some time. Their team with Shroud actually arguably didn't look as bad as they're looking at the present time, where there is a lot of room for maneuver for this Sentinels roster. So yeah, really interesting to see. I don't think Shroud making the return to Sentinels is really going to be what's fixing them necessarily, but yeah, some nice shots there from Shroud.
I'm gonna wall him.
I think 2 people.
Last player standing.
What are you gonna say? He's firing now.
Dead. One enemy remaining.
Is he back?
Oh my. That was fucking so hard. That was so insane.
Oh my god. They didn't even shoot a bullet at you.
They didn't shoot back, bro. They're just like looking at me.
That was so sick.
Give me a clip.
That was so sick.
Wait.
So let's dive straight into this matchup then, right? And honestly, Sentinels were outclassed from the get-go. And it's really strange to see with Sen, because they looked quite good when Marv came in first of all. They won that series against MIBR. They lost to Loud, but they were pretty competitive against Loud. And that was Marv's first series in the team. So you'd have expected that over time, they would get more comfortable and better. But it feels in a way that when Marv first came in, they had no practice. They came in and played it like a pug, like a 10-man pickup game, right? They just went in, did what they wanted to do, played very loose and pretty free, and it worked out for them. But over the last couple of weeks, I guess, with more practice, they've tried to lock down strats and setups and really understand what they're doing on different roles and in certain situations, and it's kind of backfired spectacularly in a way. They seemed way better, to be honest, when they were playing a looser style. Now I think it's a bit more structured, and to be fair, they're getting just hard countered by Evil Geniuses. Now, gotta give credit to EG. They've been looking a lot better. Potter deserves a lot of credit for the decisions she made to, dropping BCJ was a big call. Keeping the rest of the team together, bringing in Demon 1 was obviously the right move, but it was the BCJ benching that was a big question mark, but it's absolutely working out for them because they're looking better and better by the series. The 9-3 curse did not come in here for Sentinels. They go down game 1 emphatically 13-6, and game 2 was arguably even worse. Again, it was 10-2 for Evil Geniuses after the first half. Pancada finds himself with a ridiculous sheriff ace, actually. He gets 1, gets 2, and struggles a little bit with the 3rd kill here onto Boostia, but eventually does get the job done, and then finds the 4th and the 5th onto the final 2 players. Jorgemo goes down, and now he's holding the flank and kills Com as well. So, I mean, that was a great play from Pancada, and the crowd were loving it because they thought maybe the comeback was going to be alive, and Pancada, said a few things to the camera, but fundamentally, right, you're down 10-3, and they lost the map shortly after as well. So just wanted to share a couple of moments from this one, because, I mean, yeah, EG quickly bounced back and emphatically took the series.
And now EG's looking for the defuse. Nothing so far that Cells could do. At least a kill. A second one from Pancada. That's a spike though. Not yet a halfway. Pancada gets the 3rd kill. A 2 versus 2. Can he actually get it done?
Oh. Brian! Oh my gosh! What the? Holy shit! TenZ was the problem. What do you mean? Oh my god. Well, at least you guys know now. At least we got our answer. Honestly, Kaidi probably happy about this because TenZ was getting a lot of undeserved hate. There's no problem. There's no one problem. The problem is that we don't have a stable roster. That's the problem. Shouldn't I kick Psycho? Bro, there's no clear answer to what the problem is. That we just need to pick a. We just need to the fact that we've made so many changes going into the season sucks because there's no consistency, and that's just gonna lead to inconsistent results. we should have had our set team, coach, management, everything. And then obviously things weren't working out. So they had to make changes, but it just sucks that it worked out that way. Similar situation to the Skies, right? Just roster instability. I don't know. You can't rely on winning when there's so many changes happening around you. So there's no clean-cut answer, but I would say it's based around that.
So what a result from Evil Geniuses. They've really turned things around, looking from a completely hopeless mess at one point to, I mean, it was interesting, right? The dropping BCJ has actually worked out so well for them, but it's impressive stuff. They're improving by the day, but Sentinels have been woeful the last couple of series they've played. There's no doubt about it. They got destroyed by Cloud9, and it was like, okay, well, Cloud9 do that to a lot of teams right now, as they continue to do later in the day. But yeah, losing in that manner to Evil Geniuses is, frankly, completely unacceptable, and they're now 2-5, especially because their map differential, their round differential is bad. Even if they were to win their last 2 series, they're far from guaranteed to win any of the potential tiebreaks in that scenario. And they play Crew, which should be winnable, but if you can't beat EG, you're going to have a hard time beating Crew. And then they play Furia, I believe, as well, which is not exactly an easy game either. So as Kaplan says, no words right now except sorry to everyone who supports says. And look, Kaplan, you can argue about this, right? Because Kaplan came in, Psycho was gone, and maybe they looked better briefly, but there's a debate to be had on what Psycho did for the roster from an emotional kind of performance coaching perspective. That Kaplan doesn't necessarily have that tool in his arsenal. So really interesting debate to be had on this one going forwards. Marv had a shocking series by his standards. Apologies for the bad performance, need to get better, and got owned. So GG, well played, EG. And just look at the numbers here, right? So a swift series. Marv had 12 kills over 2 maps. Like, that's not exactly ideal. Zekken was tweeting afterwards like, please kill me. Like, it's not looking good. And look, he had the best performance on the team. But Fracture was 13-6. It was a clean start, and it didn't end particularly well either. Marv had 7 kills here and had 5 kills on Pearl in a 13-5 defeat. I mean, yeah, you don't expect that from Marv, but fundamentally, it wasn't just a one-player issue here. It was the entire team looking atrocious. Com goes 17-4 for the win. So what do you do right now if you're Sentinels? Because they made the decision to keep TenZ out of the roster, and I think that was the correct move. TenZ obviously has a lot to deal with on his plate right now. Keeping Marv in the team was, I think, definitely the correct decision. Now, in the short term, maybe it hasn't worked out, but I don't think that's necessarily because of this whole Marv TenZ dynamic. It just seems the team itself doesn't work too well. It can happen when you mix up nationalities, when you bring in some Brazilian players, you've got an IGL like Dephh. Is it really going to work? Guaranteed? Not necessarily. They put theoretically some star players into the roster. It just hasn't worked out. And so many of the other teams in global Valorant right now are way more impressive than Sentinels are and have been. And I imagine there's going to be a full rebuild next season. They might keep around Marv. They might keep around TenZ. Maybe they should look at some of the players from the guard, like maybe Valiant or a Trent or something, to try and see what they could do with their roster. Because, yeah, right now it's not working. And I don't know if it is going to work. They obviously will want to qualify for playoffs, right? But that's looking pretty slim. And after that, I guess they're going to have a chance at the last chance qualifier. But from now to then, they might have to consider further moves. Now, obviously, Sick, who's been doing a lot of tweets, if you guys have seen any of it over the last 24 hours, 48 hours or so, saying, bring back Sinatraa, right, to Sentinels. Now, like, I don't know if that's necessarily the solution to their problems. I don't really think it is. There's other things that they should be trying instead. But, look, the thing is, they've tried the roster changes, right? Maybe TenZ wants to come back, maybe he doesn't. Maybe the team wants it back, maybe they don't. Questions, of course, about Deph's IGLing, but the thing is, right, if this roster of 5, it seems highly doubtful this team is going to be able to turn it around. Often you'll see in the early days of teams, if you give a roster of 5 3 weeks or so, you should get some indication of how good they're going to be. And if they're still getting destroyed, that combination of 5 players probably just isn't going to work. So I highly doubt that this team of 5 as it stands is going to go from looking at how they did yesterday to all of a sudden turning up and winning playoffs and winning Masters, right? It's just not really going to happen. But the issue is, it's not like they've got an awful lot of options, right? And that is the problem that they run into. Just quickly to say here from ShahZaM, because he actually blocked Sick and then tweeted this. He's not himself right now. Please try your best to ignore his tweets and erratic behavior for now. I promise this isn't who he is. Thanks for being understanding. So, yeah, it's a shame really, because Sick has returned to Twitter and gone back to what he was doing a couple of months ago. So, yeah, I really hope he gets the help he needs, because it's not good to see what's been happening on Twitter the last, as I say, 48 hours or so. So ShahZaM making a comment on it. I didn't really want to show anything more publicly from that perspective. perspective and wanted to focus really on the Valorant being played here, because you got to say this of NRG is pretty funny, I can't lie. That feeling when Sentinels aren't making playoffs, there might still be some world in which they can, but more than likely it's not going to be happening at this point. And I can't imagine the confidence is particularly high for Sentinels either. So yeah, remarkable series. But a team that we expected to perform and did perform was Cloud9. They took down MIBR with basically no difficulties at all. I mean, Leaf was making play after play. Zelsis was clutching 1v2s as well here on the low tiers. And as Cloud9 say, the reports of Brazilian domination have been greatly exaggerated, with most teams but Loud with any Brazilian talent struggling a bit. This is pretty funny as well with the small little one here with Sentinels. So pretty good stuff. And yeah, Cloud9, look at them go, man. I mean, Leaf plus 19. It's got to be said, the teams that made somewhat questionable changes in EG and C9 have really kicked up a gear. And I mean, this was demolition job. 13-5, 13-4. It was like watching, Sentinels versus EG all over again. So remarkable set of performances. And look how this leaves the rankings. So Sentinels 2-5, as I say, I mean, they're -5 map differential. They're going to have a tough time getting back to qualify for the playoffs here. It's looking really slim and probably isn't going to happen at this point. EG putting themselves in a decent position to give it a go. Obviously, I think they play NRG soon as well, which is going to be exciting. Cloud9 and Loud have now officially qualified with 6 wins respectively. Awesome performances from them, and I thought this is pretty funny and petty from Jackie Etienne as well, where he changes his Twitter header here to the Plat Chat power rankings of a while ago, where they had Cloud9 number 8, and nowadays, of course, that is a very different story indeed. Imagine how much this has changed over the last month or so. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.